All right, if you're a producer, you know the feeling. Getting that vocal to sit just right in the mix, it can be one of the toughest parts of the job, but it's also one of the most important. So today, we're going to build the ultimate vocal chain to finally solve that puzzle.
So let's imagine a classic scenario. You've got a track with a really hard-hitting, aggressive rap verse, but then the chorus flips to this super smooth, soulful R&B vibe. They're like two totally different worlds sonically. So how on earth do you make them sound like they belong in the same song? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out.
You see, the key here is understanding that you don't need a one-size-fits-all solution. In fact, that's kind of the wrong way to think about it. It's all about choosing the right sonic flavor for each part. And that whole journey usually starts with two legendary console sounds. Let's talk about the two heavyweights. In one corner, you've got the SSL 4000 series. Think of it as punchy, clean, and in your face. It's got that aggressive edge and clarity that is just perfect for rap vocals that need to cut through a dense mix. And in the other corner, you have the Neve series. This is all about warmth, richness, and this beautiful musical smoothness. It's like a warm hug for your audio, and it's ideal for R&B.
So you're probably wondering, can I actually use both of these in the same song? And the answer is a huge yes, absolutely. In fact, this is what the pros do all the time. Using an SSL flavor on the verse and a Neve flavor on the chorus isn't some kind of weird compromise. It's a killer strategy for making your mix sound dynamic and perfectly balanced.
Okay, so enough with the theory. How do we actually put this into practice? Well, it all comes down to building a really solid, versatile vocal chain on what we call a vocal bus. So let's break down that blueprint step by step. And hey, before we jump in, let's make sure we're on the same page. What even is a vocal bus? Think of it like a big mixing bowl. You take all your separate lead vocal tracks and you send them all into this one channel. That way, you can process them all together. It's the secret to getting that glued together cohesive sound, like it was all one perfect performance. All right, here it is, the pro blueprint. The order here is super important for getting maximum clarity and vibe. First up, a de-esser. We gotta tame any of those harsh S sounds right away. Then a preamp emulation to add that first layer of analog warmth and color. Next comes a subtractive EQ. Now this is surgery. We're just carving out any muddy or nasty frequencies before we start boosting anything. After that, a gentle leveling compressor to even out the vocal performance. Now for the fun part. We add a character EQ for those big musical boosts, followed by a character compressor for punch and vibe. And to top it all off, a little bit of saturation or a console emulation to glue the whole thing together. Let's zoom in on that last step, saturation, because honestly, this is where so much of the magic really happens. It's what gives your vocals that warmth, that harmonic richness, that classic analog feel. But, and this is a big but, it is so easy to overdo it. And that brings up a really important question, right? Your preamp is adding color, your compressor is adding color, your console emulation is adding color. Is it possible to just pile on too much? Can you actually have too much saturation? You sure can. The key is all about balance. Think of it like seasoning a dish. You want each stage to add a little something, not overpower the whole thing. The best way to do it is to start with the mix knob on your saturation plugin really low, and then just slowly blend it in. You're listening for that sweet spot where it adds life and richness, but before it turns the vocal into a muddy mess. And here's where things get really fun and creative. You don't have to just stick to one kind of saturation. You can actually blend different flavors together to create something totally new and incredibly rich. For instance, you could blend some tube saturation, which gives you that warm, harmonically rich, kind of fuzzy feeling, with transformer saturation, which is all about punch, depth, and that solid analog weight. When you balance them just right, they complement each other and create a vocal texture that's completely unique.
Okay, so let's take that same best of both worlds idea and apply it to our EQ. Just like with saturation, you don't have to just rely on one single tool to get the job done.
This is a technique you see top-level mixers use all the time, using multiple EQs in the same chain. Why? Well, think of it like this. Some EQs are like a surgeon's scalpel. They're perfect for making really precise, clean cuts. Others are more like a painter's brush. They're famous for adding beautiful musical color. You can combine their strengths.
And here is a perfect example of that in action. You start with a clean digital EQ, your scalpel, to do the surgical work of removing any problem frequencies. Then you bring in a Neve 1073 emulation to paint in that legendary mid-range warmth. And maybe to top it all off, you use a Neve 80RS specifically to add that beautiful, airy high-end clarity.
And boom, that's the move. That is a fantastic strategy for getting a vocal that has that perfect blend of classic warmth and modern clarity. It's clean, it's rich, and it's polished, all at the same time. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've got the concepts, we've got the blueprint. Now let's talk about the specific tools you might reach for when you're dealing with these different vocal styles. You're going to want to screenshot this one. This is your cheat sheet. For that aggressive rap vocal, the Pacifica preamp is great for clean detail with just a hint of warmth, and then the SSL 4000 EQ brings that essential punch. For the smooth R&B vocal, the Neve 1073 preamp gives you all that rich depth, and then you can shape it with either the 1073 EQ for that classic vibe or the 80RS for a little more modern air.
And here's one last little pro tip for you. If you're really trying to nail that classic 90s rap sound, when you pull up an SSL 4000 EQ, try to find the black version. Its mid-range is just a little more aggressive and forward, and it's perfect for getting that gritty punch and definition that was all over those records.
So there you have it, a professional blueprint and a whole toolkit for getting incredible vocals. But remember, these are just starting points. They are not hard and fast rules. The real magic always happens when you start to experiment and trust your ears. So the real question is, how are you going to take these ideas and make a sound that's completely your own? Now go have some fun and make some music.